back to a chapter a day. Happy Friday. We made it safely through another week. And we are going into chapter 10 of 2 Kings. Yesterday we saw that Elisha had made a proclamation for Jehu, who was going to take over as the king of Israel. And Jehu, I think he slayed Joram, which was the son of Ahab, according to God's prophecy. And he also had Jezebel killed by her being thrown over the window by two of her servants, and the dogs ate her up, most of her, because when they went back to find anything to bury, they only found maybe her palms and her skull. I don't know. But that's what God prophesied also, what God gave to Elijah, the prophet, to prophesy. So now we are going into chapter 10, and let's see what takes place. And Ahab had 70 sons in Samaria, and Jehu wrote letters and sent to Samaria unto the rulers of Jezreel, to the elders, and to them that brought up Ahab's children, saying, Now as soon as this letter cometh to you, seeing your master's sons are with you, and there are with you chariots and horses, a fenced city also, and armor, look even out the best and meetest of your master's sons, and set him on his father's throne, and fight for your master's house. But they were exceedingly afraid, and said, Behold, 2 kings stood not before him. How then shall we stand? And he that was over the house, and he that was over the city, the elders also, and the bringers up of the children, sent to Jehu, saying, We are thy servants, and will do all that thou shalt bid us. We will not make any king. Do thou that which is good in thine eyes. So apparently Jehu, after he got rid of Ahab's son and Jezebel, he has sent to the elders of Jezreel to find one of the sons of Ahab, because Ahab had 70 sons, and I don't think that was all from Jezebel. That's why I was saying I'm not sure if Joram was Jezebel's son, but maybe he was. But anyway, and he wanted them to set him on the throne, on his father's throne, but the servants were afraid, because they know how maybe terrible Ahab's sons and they were, following their parents' footsteps, or just Ahab's footsteps. But they sent to Jehu and said, We will do whatever it is you want us to do. So let's see what happens. Verse 6. Then he wrote a letter the second time to them, saying, If you be mine, and if you will hearken unto my voice, take ye the heads of the men your master's sons, and come to me to Jezreel by tomorrow this time. Now the king's sons, being 70 persons, were with the great men of the city, which brought them up. And it came to pass, when the letter came to them, that they took the king's sons and slew 70 persons, and put their heads in baskets, and sent him them to Jezreel. And there came a messenger and told him, saying, They have brought the heads of the king's sons. And he said, Lay ye them in 2 heaps at the entering in of the gate until the morning. And it came to pass in the morning that he went out and stood, and said to all the people, Ye be righteous. Behold, I conspired against my master and slew him. But who slew all these? Know now that there shall fall unto the earth nothing of the word of the Lord, which the Lord spake concerning the house of Ahab. For the Lord hath done that which he spake by his servant Elisha. So Jehu sent another message back to the servants who were taking care of Ahab's children to kill all of them, 70 sons. Mercy. It sounds really, really, really gruesome. But again, like I said yesterday, these are children of parents who were idolatrous, wicked. They slew a lot of God's prophets. They did some of the worst abominations to encourage the children of Israel to be idolatrous. They killed the priests. Okay, they killed people who got in their way. You know, they were very, very notorious, both Ahab and his wife. And I think he had more than one, but they namely talked about Jezebel. But his sons were following after him, as we see with Joram, and he was killed by Jehu. Okay, continuing. And so they did what Jehu said. They killed the sons and brought their heads to him. And he put them out of the gate, outside of the gate. Oh, mercy. Anyway. Verse 11. So Jehu slew all that remained of the house of Ahab in Jezreel, and all his great men and his kinsfolk and his priests, until he left him none remaining. And he arose and departed and came to Samaria. And as he was at the shearing house in the way, Jehu met with the brethren of Ahaziah, king of Judah, and said, Who are ye? And they answered, We are the brethren of Ahaziah, and we go down to salute the children of the king and the children of the queen. And he said, Take them alive. And they took them alive, and slew them at the pit of the shearing house, even 42 men, neither left he any of them. And when he was departed thence, he lighted on Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, coming to meet him, and he saluted him and said to him, Is thine heart right, as my heart is with thy heart? And Jehonadab answered, It is. If it be, give me thine hand. And he gave him his hand, and he took him up to him into the chariot. So while Jehu was going to Samaria, because he had slain so many of Ahab's household, men that worked with Ahab, the priests that they installed there, as that were not even Levites. So all of this has been brought to an end by Jehu. So now he met Ahaziah, who is the king, or the brethren of Ahaziah, and he's asking them if they are, and they were going down to salute the children of the king, which I guess was Ahab's children. So then they took them and slew them too. So I'm thinking that's Ahaziah's brethren that they slew. And oh my gosh, I'm so confused sometimes. He said, Take them alive, and they took them and slew them at the pit. Okay, so they killed those brethren of Ahaziah, king of Judah. So now the king of Judah and his brethren are dead, and the king of Israel, he's dead, and his brethren are dead. Okay. And then he met someone called Jehonadab, and he has Jehonadab come up into his chariot. Let's see what happens. Verse 16. And he said, Come with me and see my zeal for the Lord. So they made him ride in his chariot. And when he came to Samaria, he slew all that remained unto Ahab in Samaria, till he had destroyed him, according to the saying of the Lord, which he spoke to Elijah. And Jehu gathered all the people together and said unto them, Ahab served Baal a little, but Jehu shall serve him much. Now therefore call unto me all the prophets of Baal, all his servants and all his priests. Let none be wanting, for I have a great sacrifice to do to Baal. Whosoever shall be wanting, he shall not live. But Jehu did it in subtlety, to the intent that he might destroy the worshippers of Baal. And Jehu said, Proclaim a solemn assembly for Baal, and they proclaimed it. So apparently what he's trying to do is lure all the followers of Baal, because they are still idolaters, even though he killed off so many of Ahab's descendants. They are still idolaters in the city. So he's trying to lure them with the proclamation that he's going to make a sacrifice unto Baal. And then when they come, he might just slay them also. So let's see what happens. Verse 21, And Jehu sent through all Israel, and all the worshippers of Baal came, so that there was not a man left that was not come. And they came into the house of Baal, and the house of Baal was full from one end to another. So there were a lot of people still worshiping Baal. Verse 22, And he said unto him that was over the vestry, Bring forth vestments for all the worshippers of Baal. And he brought them forth vestments. And Jehu went, and Jehonadab the son of Rechab, into the house of Baal, and said unto the worshippers of Baal, Search and look that there be here with you none of the servants of the Lord, but the worshippers of Baal only. And when they went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings, Jehu appointed 80 men without, and said, If any of the men whom I have brought into your hands escape, he that letteth him go, his life shall be for the life of him. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of offering the burnt offering, that Jehu said to the guard and to the captains, Go in and slay them, let none come forth. And they smote them with the edge of the sword, and the guard and the captains cast them out, and went to the city of the house of Baal. Oh my goodness. So after he lured all the worshippers of Baal, they filled the temple from one end to the next. He told his captains, make sure there is no one here who is not a Baal worshiper. Make sure they are all Baal worshippers. And then he went out and he gave the commandment for them to slay everyone who was inside of that temple. My gosh, these men were so bloody. But they were working on the sanction of God. God hates idolatry. There is one God, and anything outside of God, you're worshiping Satan. You're worshiping Satan. Okay, and they were doing it in God's temple. What Ahab and they did was just awful. He just was out of control, he and his wife. Okay, verse 26, and they brought forth the images out of the house of Baal and burned them. And they break down the image of Baal and break down the house of Baal and made it a draught house unto this day. Thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. Howbeit from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, Jehu departed not from after them, to wit, the golden calves that were in Bethel and that were in Dan. And the Lord said unto Jehu, because thou hast done well in executing that which is right in mine eyes, and hast done unto the house of Ahab according to all that was in mine heart, thy children of the fourth generation shall sit on the throne of Israel. But Jehu took no heed to walk in the law of the Lord God of Israel with all his heart, for he departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, which made Israel to sin. So even though they do all this good for the Lord, there's always a glitch in the system. Why is that? He still left the golden calves that these people were worshiping, and he still maybe is not fully, worshiping God himself. Why bother kill all the other people then if you too, you're not right in God's sight? Verse 32. In those days the Lord began to cut Israel short, and Hazael smote them in all the coasts of Israel, from Jordan eastward, all the land of Gilead, the Gadites and the Reubenites and the Manassites from Aroer, which is by the river Arnon, even Gilead and Bashan. Now the rest of the acts of Jehu and all that he did, and all his might, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jehu slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria. And Jehoahaz his son reigned in his stead. And the time that Jehu reigned over Israel in Samaria was 28 years. And that is the end of 2 Kings chapter 10. So we see Jehu cleaned up the house of Baal with all its worshippers, especially the house of Ahab. God said, there will not be left a man that pisseth against the wall. Those were the exact words up to Elisha the prophet. And all of his sons were killed, every last one. All his relatives, all his servants, all his captains, everyone. Jehu just went through and cleaned up the house of Ahab and cleared out the house of Baal, statues and worshippers. The thing is, he still didn't do right. What is it? What was it with these people? He still did some things that were not right in God's sight as far as worshiping God. You see, when you leave one little thorn unplucked, you're just creating place for the devil to keep making a little wider hole. He's going to take that little thorn and keep spinning it around, and he sees what we do. God sees everything we do, but guess what? The imps and the devils, the evil angels are out there observing our weaknesses too. What is our weakness? That's the thing we need to get rid of. The sin that so easily besets. And for Jehu, it had to do something with what he maybe grew up seeing. The calves that were made there by one of the previous kings. And Jeroboam, who made those calves and put them around the place because he was afraid he'd lose his power if the people went to worship in Judah. Wicked. It's wickedness. You're making God's people to sin. And Jehu still wasn't right in God's sight. After all, he did not do everything right. But God honored what he did, and that's it. He passed on, and his son is now going to take over. So we'll hear more about what takes place. 2 Kings chapter 10. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, faith comes by hearing God's word. Take care.